all of these bubbles are beginning to burst. The signs of them bursting are all around us. And you ask when I see this all happening. Well, it's happening right now, and it's going to accelerate.
Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics, and a fun episode of the show today as we have part 2 of my interview with Rory. And before I play that, just another reminder that this weekend is the New Orleans Investment Conference. Guess where it is? In New Orleans. But really, one of the things I love about going there, it's that, I know I hear a lot of people talk about how they find it frustrating to find others who are really seeing the same thing in person. So these conferences are great where you get to meet a lot of other people who you can really have some higher level conversations with and can skip past, the usual CNBC talk of markets. Great, nothing to see here. So anyway, that will be November 1st through 4th. I will be down there. If you make it, please do come say hello. Believe we'll be in Media Row. And we're going to be doing a lot of live broadcasting. In fact, I'll stop talking so we can get back to Rory here. But we're going to be doing some stuff with Rory from the conference. And in either case, hope to see you there. And with that said, let's dig back into part 2 of the show, where today Rory talks about how some of these events are unfolding now and what you can expect going forward. One of the things that's a real pleasure of talking with you, where you've been seeing this stuff for years and decades, and when it's easy once you start seeing it, although I keep in mind there's a lot of people that are just being exposed to this for the first time and seeing how some of these pieces fit together, because we've been seeing, whether it's since the last crisis or hearing for over 10 years of China, whether they sold the Fannie Mae bonds or have been diversifying out of the dollar. Now this stuff is happening publicly. And what I wonder why, if this is finally we're reaching the end game, I mean, whether they call it QE or not, I think we'll be looking back in a decade or two of whatever the Fed has been doing over the last month or two as perhaps the beginning of the end, where hopefully some of the things they've done, I believe it's God's role to judge or expose or to decide who's right or wrong. But I'd at least like some of these things be brought out to the public, like you mentioned, which again is exactly what you've been doing. So I guess the question in all of that is that we've seen gold and silver go up a little bit this year. Obviously, there's a lot of folks that, see the things that are happening, but wonder, all right, when does this actually get reflected in the markets? And I know there's no clear-cut answer, but with everything you've seen building for years, where do you see the gold and silver prices going? Are they going to move soon, or are we close to some of this collapsing?
Yes, on all to all of that. Yes, seriously. What's happening is that you have a convergence going on of these bubbles that are going to burst. When, I don't know, but soon, more sooner than later. What you also have is a collapse in the mining industry of gold and silver. And the reason, and that's important because that's where money comes from. It comes from the ground, not a printing press. And which means that it's finite. And once the real signal that the mining industry is collapsing is the mergers that have happened this year.
Right.
They're starting to eat their own because they have to have product. They have board of directors, they have stocks, they have all of these people that have to be satisfied. So they have to have product. The only way to do that is to acquire other mining companies. China has been doing that for the past several years, and they have been acquiring mines. They don't have to report that mining production to the World Gold Council. So they are bringing online just an enormous amount of gold, while these equities are, and I'm sorry, all of these bubbles are beginning to burst. The signs of them bursting are all around us. And you ask when I see this all happening. Well, it's happening right now. Yeah. And it's going to accelerate. If gold and silver were allowed to run free, they would probably be gold would probably be north of $3,000 right now. Silver would probably be north of $200 or $300, maybe even more. And that's just based on the numbers. And I just gave those examples of rigged numbers. So anybody that's able to do simple math can figure it out from there, that the numbers would be much, much higher. And what I've been saying since December of 2017 is that right now we're going to see gold and silver moving higher. And that's what we've seen this year. We're going to see gold move into the 1600, upwards of 1700 plus by the end of 2020. We're also going to see silver move into the mid to upper 20s in that same time frame. That's and I've been on record for a long time saying this. This is not new. This is not me sticking my neck out there or any of that. These are just, if even in a rigged market, this is going to happen, because there's not any product. You have to have product in order for there to be a market. If you have no product, you have no market. You follow the mining industry pretty closely, Chris. You know what's going on. It's a disaster. I mean, you can't, if somebody finds a mine and is able to bring it online, and their 43101 proves that they have somewhere between 5 and 8 million, 5 and 10 million ounces of gold, that's a big mine. That's a nothing mine in yesterday's terms. It's a nothing mine. You have Steve St. Angelo over at the SRS Rocco reporting on silver mines that are shutting down. What was his last article? That the silver producers are collapsing.
Yep.
So it's is that going to improve over the next couple of years? No, it's not. It's going to get worse. And as it gets worse, the quickening will accelerate. And as the quickening on the mining collapse accelerates, the quickening on the bubbles bursting will accelerate. So you're going to have this convergence all going on at the same time. And it's going to get ugly really quick. That's why what I was saying a minute ago about these nations tying their systems together outside of the SWIFT system, that's going to be huge, 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 because they're going to be able to function outside of the Federal Reserve note, and the world reserve currency nonsense is going to it's just going to go away. There's not going to be a lot of fanfare, and there's not going to be, this tremendous collapse and things are going to get bloody and ugly and bodies hanging from the trees. None of that's going to happen. There's going to be very little fanfare. It's happening right now. That's what people need to understand. When is the collapse going to happen? Well, it started in 1913. That's when it started. It accelerated in 1971. And then it took another huge leap forward in 1998, and then again in 2008. And now here we are in 2019. So I'm not sure how much clearer the picture can be. I mean, we have 116 years. or 106 years of material to look at.
Right.
You know, it's not, I'm not trying to be a smarty pants or anything like that. I'm just being honest. I mean, we have to look at what has happened, what's on the plate right now. This is what is in front of us right now. It's happening right now. Our society is a disaster. We have more people dying every year from opioid overdoses than in all the wars combined. Are you kidding me? In all the wars of the 20th century combined, we had that many people dying every year from opioid overdoses. We have more homeless people now. All of these are signs, but the economy is doing great. Everything is great. It's unicorns and rainbows as far as the eye can see. Are you kidding me? Those two things don't go together. This is to say nothing of the moral decay. All of these things have happened before. I mean, it's just they're all the same. It's all happened before. Nothing that I'm saying is new, and nothing that I'm saying is that far of a stretch. And what is happening right now is that gold and silver are moving higher. There are mechanisms in place to make sure that you don't see it, that we don't see it, that we don't experience it, but it is happening, period. And they can't stop it. They cannot stop it. Doesn't matter. Because I guarantee you, if you went out and you wanted to order 10 tons or 5 tons of gold, it would take you a minute to get that. Call Rob Kirby and ask him.
Right.
Guarantee you he's going to tell you it's going to take a minute. And it ain't going to be at no $1,500 an ounce. It's going to be a lot higher.
We hear the stories about Eric Sprott when he tried to acquire the silver for the Sprott Physical Silver Trust.
Yes.
Again,
took 11 months.
There, but I've heard through the grapevine that did not go so well. And I guess to what you were just saying, it hit me the other day where it's like gold and silver are really a way of betting against all of the stuff you've just mentioned, whether it's $21 trillion of missing money and you're saying, how do I respond to that? Taking your money out of currency notes and into gold and silver is a bet against that. It's a
Correct.
bet against wars that have no end. It's a bet against
Correct.
governments that, Medicare, Social Security, black holes, and all these things. So I know you probably get this a lot where people say, all right, I see what's going on, but what can I actually do about it? Rory, I think you're a great example where a lot of this stuff works because of secrecy. So whether it's just, you share the information, whether for someone else it's just being a good neighbor or someone buying gold or silver. In either case, you've laid out a great template in the interview today and also on your site. So if there's anyone that, and I know especially when you're hearing some of these things for the first time, it's hard to, you're like, no, the government, they've got to have some plan. Well, it turns out it doesn't look like they do. And perhaps in closing, you can just let folks know about your great site where they can get more information and stay posted on these things.
Sure. It's you can come visit me over at thedailycoin.org, thedailycoin.org. Also have another site where I keep up with what's going on in the Christian world, and that's and you can find that work at gospelnewsnetwork.org. And I conduct interviews. I used to conduct a lot more. Still have a YouTube channel, and I'm doing probably somewhere between 1 and 5 interviews a month, something like that. Not very many. I used to do that many a week, but I'm not. I just have so much more. I write a lot. I write a whole lot, and I'll produce probably 3 to 5, or no, 3 to 10 articles a week. And that's just at the Daily Coin, and I produce work every single day or 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, for Gospel News Network. So I write quite a bit, and that's where you can find me and find out what's going on.
Well, I sure appreciate that. And perhaps the best way I can put it is that I spent a couple of years on a trading floor. I've watched CNBC, had Wall Street Journal subscription. And as someone who's wanted to figure out how to see where gold and silver prices are headed, your site is one of the ones that I go to. So for anyone who really wants to understand these markets, dailycoin.org. And I would say, even when you think about how stock market, bond market, all these things are interconnected, in either case, I'm grateful for everything you share there. I'm grateful to be your friend as well.
Yes.
I think you set a great example as a role model for folks out there. And a pleasure catching up with you today and finally getting you on the show. And again, glad to see that Kitco's calling you to, which again just speaks to the dedication, information, and knowledge you have. And we'll look forward to catching up again soon.
Thank you so much, Chris, and likewise.
So there you go, folks. That's part 2 of my interview with Rory. Again, you can see his screen site, The Daily Coin here. Sorry if my head is blocking the chunk to the right. But again, it's a great site if you want to. It's kind of like what I think CNBC should be like, but with a different perspective. It covers quite a bit of good stuff here, and especially the gold and silver news. So one of the sites that I do like going to. And with that said, hope you enjoyed these 2 interviews. Hit that darn subscribe button and you'll be posted when we have more. And thanks again for watching. Sure do appreciate it.